Hello, ladies and gentlemen. So I am back just in with another development of an incident that happened. Man found guilty of firing gun at black teen who knocked on his door to ask for directions. So by this is Jolie Francis, October 12th, 2018, ABC News, just in. So the shooter is found guilty. So I'm going to read this before I play the video. A white man was captured on surveillance video stepping out of his house to fire upon a black teen who had knocked on his door to ask for directions, has been found guilty by a Michigan jury. Jeffrey Ziegler, 53 years of age, was convicted of assault with intent to do great bodily harm and possession of a firearm in the commission of a felony. He initially had been charged with assault to commit attempted murder. In a Pontiac courtroom Friday, Rob Morad, Jeffrey Ziegler's defense lawyer, had said in closing statements that the former firefighter did not intend to harm the 14-year-old Brennan Walker during the incident in April. Around 8 a.m. on April 12th, Walker was attempting to walk to Rochester High School after missing the bus when he found himself lost and knocked on Ziegler's door in Rochester Hills. He encountered Jeffrey Ziegler's wife, Dana Ziegler, or Donna Ziegler, who started screaming at the top of her lungs after mistaking him for a burglar. You can see on the video, ladies and gentlemen, too, when he's on the porch, Mr. Ziegler does appear to slip. His right hand is barely even on the gun when the gun goes off. You can tell he doesn't have control of that gun, Morad said. He wasn't trying to kill him when that gun went off. However, Assistant Prosecutor Kelly Collins countered in her closing argument, saying just because he wasn't successful doesn't negate what his intent initially was, of course. So in April, Walker described his encounter with Donna Ziegler. I knocked on her door a few times and she came down yelling at me before I could say anything, and she thought that I was trying to break into her house, Walker told ABC Detroit affiliate WXYZ TV in April. I was trying to explain to her that I wanted to get directions to my school. I told her, no, I go to Rochester High. I'm just looking for directions to Rochester High. In court, Dana Ziegler testified that she saw a black person at her door and that day and started screaming. I was screaming as loud as I possibly could, saying somebody's breaking into my house, she said. I screamed at him and I asked him what he was doing there. He tells me that he is going to school, and at that point, he approaches the door forward momentum, comes forward, opens the screen door, and puts his hand on the door handle again, as though he's coming into my house. Number one, he didn't look like a child, and he was a rather big man standing there. And also, if he was going to school, we have no schools in our area, she said. A 911 call summoned Oakland County Sheriff Office deputies to the Ziegler's home in what was described as an attempted break-in. In April, during a court appearance, Jeffrey Ziegler, a retiree of the Detroit Fire Department and on disability for about up until about around 2014, job-related injury, said that he was asleep in his bed when my wife started screaming and crying. The surveillance video shown this week in court showed Jeffrey Ziegler dressed only in pants, exiting his house and shooting once at Walker as the teen runs away. Deputies at the scene described the weapon as a 12-gauge shotgun. Jeffrey Ziegler also testified in court this week, saying that he was not trying to kill Walker that day. I wanted to fire more up into the air, more towards my shoulder, and I didn't get the chance to because, like I said, it was slippery and I didn't have a good grip on the gun. I felt extremely remorseful, and I was just shocked, he said. When asked in court whether he'd handled the situation differently with Walker, Jeffrey Ziegler said, "Absolutely. I would have given him a ride to school," he said. Walker was not struck by the bullet fired by Jeffrey Ziegler's gun. "I saw him holding the gun like this through the window, and I guess I put my hand up. I don't really remember, and I started to run. I looked back behind me and I saw him aiming at me, and I turned back. And I heard the gunshot, and I tried to run faster," Walker said in April. On Friday, Morad reminded jurors that the Zieglers had experienced a number of break-ins. "It's a very disheartening feeling when you're a victim," Morad said Friday. "Somebody violates the sanctity of your home. It comes into your home when you're actually at home. Certainly feels or makes you feel very unsafe and unsettled." Miss Ziegler was unsettled that day, for sure, because she felt that somebody was coming into her home like it had happened before. That's why she screamed. Ziegler had pleaded not guilty in the case. Sentencing was scheduled for November 18th. And so this is the story. But it of attempting to almost and so here it is.
Father, a former lieutenant in the Detroit Fire Department, but we also learned that his past and the facts surrounding this case are deeply concerning to the prosecutor and to the judge.
I'd really like to be able to stay in my home and keep my family together, but I'm begging, please.
53-year-old Jeff Ziegler appeared by video in a Rochester Hills courtroom begging to go home, while Assistant Prosecutor Kelly Collins called him a danger to the community.
For the video, we have this pillar of the community claiming one scenario, and we have a 14-year-old child up against that.
In part, she says, because his perspective on yesterday's shooting was different from the security video, which she says showed 14-year-old Brennan Walker knocking on his front door, not attempting to break in, as Ziegler claimed.
I don't want this victim being put in the position of him to run into the man and try to kill him, even by happenstance.
Collins says Ziegler also has a record from an incident in 2005.
It also involves some sort of weapons at City Well.
Now he faces attempted murder. The judge set a $50,000 cash surety bond with a long list of conditions.
The defendant must engage in mental health counseling.
He must turn over all weapons to the sheriff's department, wear a GPS tracker, turn over his passport, and
It is not to be within 10 miles of the victim or the victim's residence.
which means if he does make bond, he'll have to find another place to stay until his case concludes.
There's a lot more to the story than what's being told, and I believe that'll all come out in court.
I spoke briefly off camera just outside of this courthouse with a man who says he's Ziegler's best friend and a woman who says she's his daughter. Both say that Ziegler did nothing wrong and that the security video will show a different story. Reporting in Rochester Hills, Jennifer Ann Wilson, 7 Action News.
So that's the video in and of itself, and that is development. Like, comment, subscribe. This is Antoinette 70. Thanks for listening.